Yo, peace. Whoever just showed up and shit. Peace to God, peace to Earth, 93. Do what thou will. All the good shit. You know, if you ain't hell's love, you ain't shit. All the good shit. East side, you know how I get down. Um, on a serious note though, like, have you ever lost like everything? Have you like ever been in a position where you really didn't have like you weren't like, some fucking like Kudala Krim, whatever and shit, you know what I'm saying? Just displaying his magnum opus all over the fucking place and always like on top of shit. You just do your own thing and you and shit, feel me? Going through the vicissitudes of life in American culture as as a black man and shit, you know, or as a black or melanated, who I'm talking to. But like to come up, get sober and like really like launch. Man, I'm going through different bikes and shit. I'm fucking dating like famous strippers and shit. Like for a minute, like I was like back and forth between two strippers and shit. It was dope. It was kind of strange because one was like ghetto, one was not, you know, and like, you know, but then like to lose everything and shit by some unfortunate thing and shit, you know what I'm saying? That like maybe things that happen in your life is deeper than what you think it is and shit. You know what I'm saying? It kind of gets you looking at life completely different or whatnot and shit. And I'm not talking about, I'm just looking at my life like decisions I made. I'm like kind of like looking at my life like the decisions that I made to believe in a lot of the shit that I made, believe in. And like, what's the biggest, and first, the niggas always go to religion first, the government second. The one thing that nobody will even touch is just the simple, basic monetary system and how it works. And the understanding that no matter what, you don't own a fucking goddamn thing. I don't care what bill, mortgage shit, death grip shit them niggas got you in. You don't own that shit. They take it from you if they want to. So where does that leave a person who works their entire life? You never get to own nothing. The money itself is not even designed to be money itself, to be a currency. It's actually a negative currency because all it does is charge, charge, charge everything it touches. It never loses 7%, but we do. And when niggas be like, oh, that nigga sold his soul, blah, 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 blah. Who hasn't sold their soul who hasn't used a dollar bill and don't even got no gold? Niggas sell gold, we buy gold. The horrible truth. The horrible truth is that, yeah, man, none of this shit belongs to us. Like, who does it belong to then? Is it like, we just want to, have like, a fucking tail like so in felon, how felons talk. A term that we'll use is a tail on my back. And what that really represents is like they want to keep a tail on me, is keep me like kind of like locked in with them for a minimum amount of time, a minimum mandatory amount of time. And that's you get the 20s with the L's and these things, these 5 to 10s and these things with the minimum mandatories and shit. Plus some minimum mandatories even have like certain minimum mandatory parole, computations. And the whole thing is designed to keep them with another leash. It's like the leash that's already on mankind or this nation is even tightened. And it's like motherfuckers never just be like, hey, I've never really heard anybody be like, you know what? How long have we really been using money? Because we'll go through all the books and research and shit and things of the fuck. Think about the research, right? Is it's just more information that's like presented by. It's just more shit that has been presented by the motherfuckers too. You know what I'm saying? We're still going through outside resources and shit. We still have to cite sources and shit because we're using outside our own source, which is information gathered apparently by who say whatever. Aleister Crowley, whoever the fuck may be. But the thing is, right, is like there's no way for me to date personally to date like, oh, this blah, 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 blah. And as far as I'm concerned, there was the first book that was ever written was the Bible. It was the first book ever made into a book, like what we call a book today, is what that is the Bible, because it was used via the printing press, which was a brand new invention that came out simultaneously with the Bible. Matter of fact, the first thing the printing press printed was the Bible, and then Shakespeare. Well, hold up. Which one is which at that point? And like, that's the big change. And the funny thing about the Bible, how's the Bible begin? It talks about this, that, the other thing. It talks about confusion in languages, and so people can't understand and shit. And like, boom. What if we were able to map, for the people that don't like, talking about that shit, the book, blah, 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 blah. For one, let's try like a different approach. The enemy, whoever this motherfuckers are, whatever and shit. Let's like look at them like highly advanced, highly sophisticated, highly determined, and highly don't fucking like none of us. And in operation with us, their purpose and agenda is, or their behavior is more parasitic than anything else. And then, okay, well, what do you mean, like latching onto us? A different kind of parasite. Me and Mind's Eye last night was talking about, or night before last, whatever, was talking about um vampirism. And I read a book on request by somebody else, basically that, because she knew I got a shitload of books and I'll be fucking with them and shit. And I got notes and highlights and all the books I read and shit. And you know how far I got in some of them, because I don't finish them all, but I still got them. That kind of stopped. Some was all the way through and shit, tabs and bitches, notebooks and shit with fucking referring comments and shit. I get in with it when I get in with it. And I read the whole book, and she basically wanted me to give her my synopsis. And I was like, this is fucking a dangerous ass fucking book, man. Like, I'm like, damn sure I haven't even read this shit. It was because it was like extremely hardcore, and the concepts were very understandable to my mindset, and like, have I used some of the things I've used? Well, I realize I've already been kind of using a lot of shit, and now I know what I'm doing. This might kind of makes it dangerous, because now to know the ledge, to fully explore a degree, a state, a field, an energy, a current, a vibration. If you're in a vibration or in one of these different permatures of premateria in the mind, then to know that is to know that you are that. And so at that point, nothing can undo what you are, because you are the doer, and you are the one who will undo and move on to the next do. You do? Do you feel me? This ain't no fucking Iowa commercial for Mountain Dew too, nigga. And unless they want to throw me some chip change and shit, maybe a couple cases and shit, for just to mention, or they, even want to throw a nigga like a shoe deal and shit, some Mountain Dew slipper, just for me saying it twice now, man. I know I got to get something. But it's like the way the whole thing is built, you have to fucking make it fall apart. You have to do a pandemic shit. You can't have like 4 generations moving past and shit. Like, you know what, guys? The grandparents didn't own it. Grandparents didn't own it. And we're basically coming out of a situation where, like, there is no, well, they didn't own it. Everybody knew that the grandparents didn't own shit back in when they had parents and stuff. It was a different situation. So they can pitch it for us like this is new, when really this is how they move. This is how they operate and shit. And how they do it is the 5%er have a word for it. They call it technology. And like, that's pretty a good definition of it, because they use tactics. They use a certain style of, not data collection, but data disbursement. And there was a shitload of crazy wars going on. Like, we all know about the crazy wars. But are they telling us the truth about the nature and the demographic and the consistency of and the purpose and with who these crazy wars really was with? They said, well, this guy's against that guy, and these guys, us against them, and us. What if it wasn't us against them? What if it was all of us on this bitch against somebody else? Then you got the Reagan statement. Well, they say if there's extraterrestrials or alien life or whatever, and I say, do not dare exist amongst us now. And I'm like, everybody else is like, even fucking Jordan Maxwell and niggas is all, we got David Icke, blah, blah, blah. Bro, he an old ass white dude, bro. You know who he talking to, his people, nigga. So he on some other shit, nigga. Even to come out with some shit like that, just to be there might be amongst us now. and when he said that shit, he basically inside is kind of giggling the same way that Bush giggled when the nigga threw the shoe at that nigga. He said, "Was that a shoe?" And he looked again. You see that nigga was smiling like, "Hell no, is that a shoe?" And with that being said, I just been like, who else uses money other than us? Is there people that don't use money? Well, why? Like the people who own everything, why would they even need it? Well, then why do we use it? Oh shit, because hamster wheel. Oh shit, because donkeys and carrots. Oh shit, because their way of doing things is a different kind of vampirism and fucking parasympathetic or parasite, or whatever you want to call it, bro. And it's the basic fundamentals that are the key cornerstones of how it all works. And those are the things that when niggas talk about it, as you basically, there's only one way probably to find out is if niggas just stopped. Like, to make the news. Every nigga in America, like, we had this day planned there, fuck it, we just going to the park and posting up, nigga. Every nigga in America, no killing, no beefing and shit, and we gonna chill out there, nigga, and see what they do. Of course, there's gonna be some weird shit. People gonna be scared, police gonna show up, and in certain places, if they can't keep it, they're gonna probably have their info. I guarantee it'll be some wild shit. And it'll scare America and shit because like it's got to be something that's not like part of the plans that they got going on and stuff in order to see like what kind of hand they'll force and stuff. And most likely the hand will be an uncomfortable one for us, but that's like we got to be uncomfortable, like for real uncomfortable. It's got to be a unified, like for real, like damn, bro, that was fucked up, and we all felt that one. And like how the whole nation felt the pandemic, not just us feel the pandemic by ourselves, nigga. We all like, damn, nigga, we all did this together. We'll see what happened, and look what happened. Look how they're doing this now. Because like in prison, bro, like the one thing about the Department of Corrections here in Nevada that we do have is we do have a case history that can be studied and looked at as from even the woods. You can talk to them. I talk to them and shit on YouTube about this kind of conversation about Department of Corrections, politics in the woods, the essays, and the black car and shit, and the cars and stuff. And there's a reason why we are fucking dominant in there, and we are outnumbered, even though majority of our people, demographically and to the statistic ratio, make up more people than we should demographically on the greater scheme of things in the nation. What happened to the Mayans? These wars, bro, we're taught like throughout the history of elementary school, middle school, and high school, the biggest things that we are focused and taught is about wars, advancements in politics and wars. And what did a stick man from that press say? He said, he said, he said, money is power. Fuck, I can't remember that shit. He said, money is politics is war without a gun. War is politics without politics is war without a gun. War is politics with one. You know what I mean? You better get one. That's what he says and shit. And there's a thing about a definite upon only the people here, bro. Other countries, indigenous homestead people don't go through the shit that we go through here as like treated as a separate entity. There's no other country in the world that has this going down. Matter of fact, all countries of the world can come here and have the exact opposite. But us here, we're treated as a secondary entity. how I don't know if I've said this shit, but like secondary, but still obviously most necessary. And then they have like the native and shit, and like these are the real ones and stuff. And it's like, but are they though? You know, because it really isn't hard to like fucking like really just introduce one element into a narrative and just change everything. When we're taught the thing about telephone, why are we taught the thing about telephone? And this is the funny thing is these behaviors, these operations, 5% say technology, but this is more along the lines of a trickster. If we understand that I can do that because you know, I'm a Thelemite, not only my Thelemite, I'm a second degree magician, about to be third degree and shit, and you know, come back as motherfucking like master of magic, spells and illusions. The enemies crumble, that's whatever, defenders of the earth, or whatever, and shit, man. Peace to the gods. But there is a if I could look at it and I have that ability by being in the order and just like being, you know, there are curriculums that you go through and shit as modes of study and shit for per degrees and stuff. You know what I'm saying? And it's not like you take a degree and boom, that's it. There's fucking a lot of fucking info, a lot of stuff to learn while you're in that shit. And if you're not going through that shit, then it's like, what are you doing? And look, I'm gonna tell you this. It's a lot of fucking shit, bro. I mean, the Masons, they kind of, on this level, they got it so fucking simple. You memorize the degree, you go spit the degree, you get the next degree, you go get that degree, you give that degree back to the nigga before you and shit, and you take your next degree and shit. Once you're at your third year, pop, boom, pop, done. And basically, what we have within the degree systems, they basically will use in the further study. So this is what separates and also kind of makes still you see the hints of masonry within our order itself and stuff. And don't quote me on this because I am not speaking in reflection or opinions of OTO. I'm speaking for myself and what I feel. All right. So this doesn't reflect on what OTO feels as a whole. Matter of fact, if that they will put out what they feel, this is my own personal opinions and beliefs as a Thelemite, which is my will to see things as I choose to see it or not. And so like through this lens, you know, saying go gadget motherfucking, you know, tell them my lens, because you know I got hella books on demonology and shit. I understand because I've actually done an invocation where the goal was and the goal was accomplished for what we did. The goal was that I got what I wanted. I got exactly what I asked for because I knew what was ahead of me and shit. And I got exactly what I asked for, which was the reasonable thing that I knew instead of like trying to make it like, which I could have, but you know, see, the thing is like when you're dealing with vibrations and shit and these things that you call energy and all this stuff, when you're dealing with, you got to deal with them and shit. So there has to be a chord. I took a nice little sip of my motherfucking drink. And I said chord. Now let's run that word real quick. I'm gonna tie this one back in. Chord. CHORD. CORD. Umbilical. Hmm? Cable. Haha, cable guy. Um, musical. Egregoric. Egregoric. Egregor. Energetic. Mystic tie. What do they call it? What do they call that shit? Cable toe. The cable toe. You feel me? Matter of fact, this nigga just called. Hold up. I can this shit still hold up. Boom, copy. I think I can do this. Hope it don't log me out. Watch this. Y'all can't see this, but hey nigga, a homeboy tried to call me on Messenger. I'm on YouTube on live doing doing on my channel on live. Yeah, but anyway, so yeah, chords. All those things I mentioned, they're just normal things that we're born, we go through a birth process with. And they're things that we actually kind of like, these are concepts that exist amongst existence as we exist through life. And they're all related. So when you got to strike a chord in your vibrational state with other things around you, bro, and that becomes a harmony. Ah, now we got the heart and we got the money. And what was it called? Harikari, right? To stab yourself and shit. And what does the dollar sign mean? The dollar sign actually means scourge, to scourge, which is to dollar symbol means scourge. And what scourge means is like to give part of yourself. You scourge piece of your own whatever body, if it's dealing with body, emotion, if it's dealing with emotion, whatever it is, but to scourge yourself for in lieu of in quid pro quo. That's what the scourge means. That's what dollar sign means. And harmony. So what we're doing is like it's bloodletting, energetic bloodletting. So this is like reverse vampirism. And there are species of insect and parasitical animals and whatever that they do the zombie thing where they can actually like, in a way, some have pheromones, some have actually like behaviors that hypnotize, but they have a technique where they're able to induce their prey. Out here we got the spider hawk, tarantula hawk. Bitch is scary as fuck. I saw one the other day and shit. And that motherfucker, bro, the second most painful bug bite in the world, about the size of my hand. It eats tarantulas. And what it does, not only eats them, the babies eat them. Because it comes, find a tarantula in the desert, lands, and with their big red wings and their weird antler things. Oh man. Like things crawling on me and shit talking about this bitch. They do this weird little fucking dance. They like throw their hands up and they start going back and forth and shit, doing this real little shimmy shit, right? And the fucking tarantula throw his hands up and just stay there. Like throw your hands up. It'll stay there, and the nigga will stay, and the nigga and the fucking the wasp will come around, and the tarantula won't move, and they'll fucking mount his back and fucking pregnant that bitch. And ugh. Or if that doesn't work, they will fight. But there's just one technique. If it works, the motherfucker tarantula will just stay there. And the bitches will impregnate the motherfucker tarantula, leave and hover over fire. It just knows where the babies are and shit. And eventually the tarantula will eat and eat, then die, and the babies will be born and be healthy babies and shit. And this is the system that like what that when people say we're under a system, it's like the entire way of living. We are living like we are the fucking Hebrew slaves. Now, it was 400 years. The Israelites are wrong. It's like the way we exist. None of us own. I don't care if you own your own home because you fucking don't, niggas. You know that shit because you pay mortgage. You're paying somebody. Fucking don't own it if you're paying for it still. You got to have insurance you're still paying for. You got to go through somebody else to be able to use it. So, no, it's not yours. It's like a fucking allowance. It's tier time. You have a certain amount of contraband that they will allow you to have. No, you cannot run the prison. You can try from where you're at, but we will get that person too, and we will still be able to run you. And that's the system that it is. And so the big question is like, okay, well, what the fuck? Who are these people? Because like, we know what we're talking about, right? But is it all of them? Who fucking really knows? But there's an element that exists, definitely. That is the key driving focusing force that allows it to work as it does. Because what it is really, our whole civilization is a colony of fucking miners. We're just what are the, there's we're producing materials and there's shortages. What did Cat Williams say? There are shortages on wings, but not legs. What the fuck? And there's these certain elements about our daily fundamental life that we are taught about in the system of education. Key Norfolk earlier was talking about, he brought up Total Recall. How will we even know if we are the remaining survivors of a plane that was conquered by another fucking whatever? And since that's happened, We have been completely wiped of all knowledge of who we really are, and we've been put to work. And in their eyes, it's theirs, and we no longer own it. And we're just going to do what they want. We're just going to build for them. And if that's what happened, think about this shit. There's a bunch of wars in the early 1900s. World War One, World War Two, the big ones. But there was another one too that also had the word world and war in it that happened around the same time. And everybody knows what it is because everybody heard about it. But it's the way they tell us about it that we're like, but they still tell us about it with the other ones too, though. It's because at the same time, World War One, World War Two, everybody talks about what's World War Three, World War. But there was at the same time War of the Worlds. And the story goes is that one day over the radio, a broadcast came saying that there was things in the skies and the whole UFO shit. It's all at the same time. I mean, the Bible doesn't even have to be 500 years old. It could just been introduced at a time, bro. Like Manchurian Cannons, how motherfuckers be brainwashing people, bro. Like there's no limit. There's really like no limit, bro. And like, are you trying to tell me? Because this is how they do the setup, and they're just there's like little stupid things that like when you really like just like hold up, let's look back at this small thing that probably nobody would even think about the timeline. The missing link, the change, the special event, the fucking opposable, all these extra things to basically say that for like fucking millions of motherfucking years we wasn't doing shit, and there ain't no bodies either. It's not like millions of years of dead niggas that niggas are just finding another million nigga year old nigga was found again in motherfucking West Minnesota. None of that shit's happening, bro. They'll find an isolated femur and shit of also people this simple survive and from the curacious, but almost like a and like bro nigga, and it was like, where's all the dead Native Americans at? Where are all the slave ships at? I get you guys got some chains and some shit at the museum, but how'd y'all really beat them niggas? Y'all beat them niggas up? Y'all had guns and shit. The niggas wasn't like not scared to die, nigga. They was already damn near naked the way you put them and shit. None of that shit. What happened to the Mayans? I believe that the people here in this nation are the last people of previous people. Truly in my heart, man, because like there is no fucking way that niggas just one day said, you know what, let's pay for shit and be on loans from birth to death. Nothing's sure but death in Texas. The whole thing is set up from the school. And I know this isn't Jeffrey Epstein didn't himself, but like, where do our parents send the kids? Who has the kids the most during the childhood? How many different teachers really did I have? These are just motherfuckers I don't fucking know if I ever seen again. These are basically strangers that we're sending our kids. These kind of things, man, and insisting that they're just fucking doing their job. Yeah, we had those good teachers, but they're still just doing their job. They're not doing this shit for free. Just like the pastor. Ain't no fucking pastor doing that shit for free. Just a nice guy, homeless and shit. Nah, I spread the good news, man. I'm chilling. I'm good. I get to meet you, man. So no doom grooming, nothing like just to be the good. Nah, the pastor needs to have some money because heaven got a fucking leak. Shit, so we gotta cash. They accept cash app in heaven. That's how they run it. But from the windows to the wall and to the sweat drip off of somebody's balls and shit, we are basically confined from the earliest years that we were able to formally interact with others. We were removed from others and placed in a place where only the kids can go. The parents can't go to all day. No, that's not how it works. The parents have to go somewhere else. If the parents don't send the kids there, then they will take the kids away and still put them in a place like that. But worse, because there's no parents and there's just like states paid employees. However, the way the thing is all designed, there is one thing that is obvious that they don't want to run out of, and that's bodies. Now, there doesn't seem to be a fucking massive, decrease or culling or I hate that. Oh God, culling. We'll get to that shit. Of other nations and nationalities in other places, only in America, only with the black man, whatever the fuck you want to call us. And that's what we call systemic racism. But really, there was a saying: you can't contain Jordan. You can only hope. You can't control Jordan. You only hope to contain him. And then there's Steph Curry. The only time that they even saw any advantage was after two big injuries of the two fucking, Clay and fucking and fucking KD and shit. They only had Steph left and they employed the box one and Fred VanVleet. I mean, that was a fucking you know what? The they got fucking lucky with those two injuries, man. But it's still been a really close series because Siakam is a beast. I wish we had him. That's the motherfucker we need to have is Siakam, bro. That's the best fucking two-way fucking center in the world, bro. With one move. The spin move, that nigga spin move is disgusting, bro. They should fucking try to ban that shit too, like they did Allen Iverson, because guarantee you, other than putbacks, he's getting like 30 or 40% of his points are gonna be off of a drive and that spin move. Nobody can guard him because he's so long, bro. When he plants, bro, it's a wrap. You're at full speed. You still got to plant after him no matter what, bro. You can't. It ain't no plan before him because you plant before him, you just stop. And he's so, bro. It's like beyond that, but like they did the box one, and they were able to basically stop Curry from doing anything. And he was like, and nobody, and the team was at that point so fucked up, they really couldn't even operate with like Steph throwing dishes out and shit. And he was throwing bombs, and they were not hitting because that box one, bro. Beautiful, nigga. And like no teams ever had. I mean, box one, bro. You're talking about fucking like Holy Cross Day, fucking before they had a 3-point line. So and it's like they do have like there's techniques of like sort of like spiritual, energetic, you know, um, what's the word? I don't even want to use this word, but what's that fucking word? Herd letting. And that's through our collegiate efforts in our sports and stuff, our sporting events, because they do allow us to know that we're fucking extremely intelligent, extremely the most the smartest, best athletes on the planet. Because we are the planet. You have conflicting fucking wild fucking. There's a war in heaven and earth in the Christian shit. And there's war in heaven and earth in the Hebrew shit. There's a war in heaven and the thinking, Then you get the Hindu shit. This shit's really nuts, bro. With atom bombs and shit, and war with people from the other side of the moon or some other shit. You know what I'm saying? Nigga missiles with like fucking make the blow out trees and shit. And Hunaman, the ape nigga from Planet of the fucking Apes, is on this shit. And this nigga got hella gold, bro. This nigga balling and shit. He niggas fast as fuck, kick him out. Wild shit, right? We have all these wars, these crazy wars. And I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. Man, we're dealing with a fucking like the enemy that we're dealing with can only be as smart, not smarter, but as smart as our ancestors. It's that we forgot. We've been like fucking us almost like a slave white queen. But the thing is about it, bro, if we are the earth, that's why I prefer it. Indigenous, aboriginal. Nigga, I'm the earth. Nigga told me this new nigga at work I'm training. I was training this nigga today. Right? I ain't even been at work a couple of days and shit. Fucking his leg shit. And, fucking with the car and shit. You know what I'm saying? I got my shit back and forth now, right? But it's been kind of a long week. You know, a lot of fucking bullshit. But anyway, this nigga's like, I'm like, where you from? He's like speaking, he's like talking like he's from like South America or somebody. He doesn't look like it really and shit. He's kind of melanated and shit, kind of dusty, dark, dirty kind of looking. And he's like, he's Palestinian and American, American Palestinian. And I was like, what the fuck is that supposed to mean? American Palestinian, nigga. I was like, we mean American Palestinian, nigga. Like, where are your parents from? He's like, Palestine. I'm like, oh, you're a Palestinian born in America, nigga. You're not like how they call us African American. None of us are even from fucking Africa, motherfucker. But they call us African American, but you're not from here, nigga. I'm from here, nigga. Everybody in my family from here. We've been from here. We ain't been from nowhere else but here. There's not a story. Other than the motherfucking the one Chinese ancestor I have, there's not a story about anybody else post night. Matter of fact, I wonder how many people's real fucking like real history, like our shit goes back about I don't know, not 200, not even 200 years, like yeah, about 180, about the 1840s. Before there's not really too much on wax, but it's the system that we go through, like literally that major shit, but we from day one, man, we have to be bagged and tagged and moderated and operated and fucking moved and this and that and shit. And then over to the food. Look at the food structure. The things that we eat that are the predominant feeding things that you can't get away from. And the thing is about last night about and I owe fucking I didn't mean to fuck up what was that nigga's name? Woke shit. I think that's his name, whatever, whoever that was. But talking about Sebi and the fucking meat and shit, and I haven't even done no research into it, bro. But my mind, just my shit, like boom, 161 IQ, that shit fires real quick, bro. And I can already like fucking draw. It works kind of like its own Google from just gathered under intelligence through my entire life using deductive, inductive methods of logic and shit, and just also a little bit of hedonistic calculus. Big words, bro. Fun shit, you know. And basically, yeah, man, hamburger, an animal that really like. Where did we find the first cow at it? And how was that cow like not dead? Who can a cow be? There's only like one thing I heard a cow ever doing, and that's jumping over a moon. And we know that's some bullshit. So what the fuck can a cow do? Niggas, we ain't talking about unless there's like this motherfucking like see like even like so either in the safari, right? Because a lion isn't the king of the jungle because that bitch don't even live in the fucking jungle. Tigers live in the fucking jungle. The short hair cats live in the jungle. Big hair cats live in the wild. They're out there in the safari and shit. That's why they have the big hair. Why is that? For fucking like bugs and shit and for shade. And deal with the elements because there's no jungle. And these lions and shit, they have pride, but the men, they don't fight. They only fight at predators. They're coming to prey on the pride itself. The men just sit home and do their thing. The women go out there and do that shit. You see some cows out there, nigga, fucking bringing home the fucking forestry. Nah, that's not how it works. And what's the bull gonna do? What the fuck the bull gonna do, man? He gonna what he gonna go out and hunt? Some grass, nigga. Find a patch, a really nice, a bunch of bluegrass or some shit. Nah, nigga. Both animals, male and female, are fucking bovine, bro. These niggas are fucking benign, bro. Pointless. They're pinky toe animals, bro. Like they say, you don't need a pinky toe. Nah, nigga, I got mine, bro. Unless you like bug me or some shit. Every human got a bug. This is a pinky toe. It's that fucking cow. It's that chicken. Where did you really find the first chicken? Really? This is a fucking like what? A forest full of these motherfuckers and shit, just chilling, just laying eggs and shit, and hatching and clucking away. No, nigga. A field of these bitches like roaming free, nigga, free roam chick. No, nigga. These bitches are they're industrially instituted into the demographic of our cycle, our system, our cycle, however we want to call it, our civilization. What foods do we eat that come from an animal that has natural predators? That's not Walmart. Think about that shit. And like, yeah, I can see where, and this the thing is like, we can go into the sea and actually there's natural predators for everything in that bitch. And everything eats something else in that bitch. Not, and we can probably get away from that shit, but like here, nah, nigga, none of that shit's happening. So when you really look at the entire tapestry, and that's one thing I really enjoy about Aleister Crowley is because, yeah, I'll probably beat that nigga's ass up in real life, my nigga. I'll probably like, damn, it's Crowley. I'm hanging with this nigga, and I guarantee you, at the end of the night, I didn't slap this nigga, bro, for something. I just got that feeling like, yeah, I would have to slap this nigga. I wouldn't like be stealing on him and shit, because it's Crowley shit. That's Uncle Al and shit. Homeboy pushed down the stairs. I ain't do that shit, but I'll probably have to slap this nigga, bro. Like, Crowley, you ain't tighten up, my nigga. I ain't feel me? And like, I know Crowley, that nigga ain't fishing like me. If you want to thump it out, we can thump it out and shit. I would probably have, and you can ask any fellow of mine, and we all like, oh, that nigga would definitely, especially a body messer, that nigga would definitely not be, they would kick his ass out the order today. But the thing about it is, it's a different perspective from his lenses. And that's what we really don't have. He's like the worst kind of questioner. He like wants you tell him like, oh, this is my favorite cow, my favorite prize pony. This nigga, your pony comes up missing. This thing got that bitch. You come over his house, nigga. He got that bitch all out on the motherfucking table, nigga, in parts. Some frozen, some not. Or maybe he wanted to fuck the pony. Who fucking knows that nigga be on? But like I do appreciate like a definitely, especially from an insane person who's extremely smart. And then there's a true nature about Lima that's not even really talked about. Chloe did this one thing. And I think the reason it's not talked about for me personally because it's the one thing he really went out of his way to do for people who aren't, Caucasian. Meaning that, and I said that being that all of the information that he had, that's not from Caucasians. He didn't get that from other white people. The Golden Dawn shit, that's when the bullshit started really happening. And he was like, look, check it out. Before the Golden Dawn, Crowley had already been initiated to one or two other orders from the Asiatic, the ancient traditional ones, like the Saladin might be around these niggas and shit. You feel me? We might be on our way to meet that nigga. You feel me? We're talking about the old school, the real shit. The shit that you can't get in Europe. Like masonry. They didn't build that shit. They didn't build masonry. They didn't build that shit. They didn't start masonry. That was like before there was money. That's how we existed. We existed. I think you know what? I was Red School was here. I'm gonna be damn a lot. I'm pretty. I guarantee you. I wouldn't. I can't do that. I would throw out there and just be like, man, you know what? Maybe we was living like the Final Fantasy, the case, not like case but class system, and there was no need for fucking like people paying people to do shit because we were all experts on everything. And maybe that 5% story isn't too off and shit, but we were that expert on everything. Like we were one of us like on some other shit because he was a bitch ass nigga. I don't know. And those are just considerations. But yeah, so like the whole thing is that by the basic nature and with it at the end of the Rascast nature that the base nature of things engraved in paper, the white man basically in the chain. When he says that shit, he's basically that's the key thing is right is that paper, that writ, the contract, the script, the scribe, the shit that's not like the people who fucking existed here before like to do carvings and shit. And it was like a universal understanding to the point you didn't have to have it in your pocket or have to read it. Everybody knew these concepts. Everybody was high science, super the highest science and shit. And like the pyramids, oh, 1,000, these are 5,000, it was couple, blah, blah. For all we know, the shit they just took the gold off that shit like fucking 100 years ago. You know, like the timeline that we're given is that one that we're taught in school, and it's about nothing but wars. World War One, World War Two, at the same time, War of the Worlds, of the wars, whatever they call them, motherfuckers. You know, and like the way I watch TV now, like the news is bullshit to me. I understand that. After the pandemic, after Trump ran for president, I was like in the flat earth thing. When I first saw it, I was like, oh yeah, this is fucking. I can't believe I should never ever believe in this shit. If this is what they doing now, this shit ain't never been real from day one. It's been trending the whole time. You know, but like the one thing about it is that if that's the case, then this is something that this kind of programming can't be like just like maintain like on a even keel on a a even ratio the whole time, bro. Because eventually, like if we're from the earth, we are earth. If we are the earth, I'm God. I'm son. I'm son. You know what I'm saying? I'm the father and the son, nigga. Because that's what I am and shit. This is my dwell. This is my realm, my dwelling. Then if that's the case, then like what's commonly known is that where there's an attachment between my heart and the soul on the earth and shit. You know what I'm saying? It's the way we get down and shit, nigga. You know what I'm saying? Even the color scheme of things. You feel me? And from where like they don't come from like Australia or South America, no, nowhere else but like this one area and shit. And it's like that's another thing too. Like they don't come from places that everybody else comes from. Places that are brown, red, and earth. I'm not saying that Arctic ain't Earth and shit, nigga, but really, who been living in the snow like that for long now, on them times and shit? They got the fucking. So you trying to fast track me a caveman nigga, and then how long before the caveman they got this shit built up, bro? It's like basically make our fucking ancient history. So we're like, that's ancient history. It's not like, nah, nigga, that was like 75 years ago, bro. And they thought that we was gonna find out. Well, that was like 100 years ago, bro. Yeah, they didn't know we was gonna realize that shit. They didn't know there's plays put in place and shit. It's a funny thing about some of these Black American orders, groups that pop up. First Rosicrucian order ever come to America was by a black man, light skinned nigga, Pascal Beverly Randolph. Shout out to New. NOI was actually not created by Elijah, but it was created by this Pacific Islander, half British guy or Swedish guy and shit, who wasn't even like black at all, really. And the father, he's the father like he get from 5% of the, father like he be like greedy vegan, like granddad or son or like second uncle or some shit. They kind of like to kind of favor each other and shit in a way. That's a nigga and shit. But you got there's another Noble Drew Ali. Before he was Noble, he was just Andrew, right? Just dude. And then one day he's like in this like really special fucking initiation ceremony with a bunch of other motherfuckers that are like really special too. And he comes out like this guy with his own fucking order. You don't get an order one day, you get an order the next day. That doesn't fucking happen, bro. Especially in a time where he comes and where he pops on the scene. Because you still got the Theosophical Society doing a lot of fucking shit. And them motherfuckers, bro, was up into everything. If it wasn't for them just being primarily a bunch of fat bitches from like, northern fucking like, Scandinavian shit or wherever and shit, Blavatsky in Russia, whatever, they would basically be a Third Reich version of a secret society, bro, that was like basically just a cult fucking domination everywhere they go. And they were doing things like they were trying to create second comings of Christ, and they were putting people in positions to be like their own Wu-Tang independent signed artist order type shit. And rumor has it, bro, that Drew Ali was in part. He was one of those people that were like, you're about to be put into a position where you're going to be the leader of an order. And this is how that order's going to be. Because, like, the few orders that really existed that were for melanated people do not exist now. If they exist in Africa, it's not the same shit that we had here at one time. I know niggas be all they stuck on like certain things. They like look, a Walmart of fucking information on this idea of indigenous, aboriginal, who's here first, where do we really come from, what's the line? It's a Walmart. And a lot of niggas only been going down 2 fucking aisles. It's a Walmart of info, and niggas been going down 1 or 2 aisles and shit. I mean, they're even like, and it's not, I'm not against it and shit, but just to say the shit that I'm fine. I'm like really, when you start putting things together, it's called hedonistic calculus, and basically start looking at things through like a fucking almost like a ratio number scale and stuff, through numbers of plus or minus and stuff. And the way it works on a simple level is you can be able to theoretically consider something and do the hedonistic calculus on it in your head, like boom, and that's simple. The hedonistic calculus really is all about what's the situation or the answer or solution that affects the greatest amount of people in what it's supposed to be the best way possible, the best way. But really, it's just to say what is the solution that can affect the greatest amount of people. Doesn't mean if it's morally good, ethically good, but the biggest effect that it has that affects the greatest amount of people. And with that, boom, you start wandering down other fucking aisles. You start noticing they got shit on shelves you didn't even know they fucking even had. You even ever even thought that shit would even exist on the fucking shelf next to some other shit on the fucking shelf. And so that's the thing is like the evidence, the forensic data can never be destroyed. Ever. You can relabel it. Oh, that's not apple juice. It's piss. That's why it's sitting up there. Looks like apple juice, doesn't it? No, it's piss. That's why it's labeled piss. That's actually the guy that's left, that's his piss. It's like, no, it's really apple just putting in the fucking piss thing. Or whatever and shit. Tell you right is wrong, wrong was right. So is it playing that fight around? Is there life in outer space? These kind of questions and shit. I'm not saying like, oh, they're from. We're under occupation. Homie. That's what I'm fucking saying. Because money doesn't make sense, bro. Like our deficit is $730 trillion. And you know what? That's such a big number. I wouldn't be too surprised if you gave that to a fucking hardcore mathematician and like, hey, if you had $1 and there's only $1 in the whole nation, how long would it take for it to move around everybody 730 trillion times and build a nation? And if they can like get that, if they can figure that number, like shit, like 100 years, 50 years, 70 years, and like boom. Think about it, bro. Our system, our money system's failing. When we were kids, I'm an 80s baby, bro. Credit cards just came out. They still had silver and fucking in nickels. Bro, this is like fucking like you got the 80s, you got fucking Sega Genesis, PlayStation, and you got fucking in 2000s. But in this in look, in 40 years, you mean our currency doesn't work anymore? And y'all just switched from another one before that, a few years before that, another one from before that, a few years before. Boom. For 30 years, people went to work for Social Security and they're like, we're gonna cash out 401k and that. And then once they were getting like, 50 and shit, and they were close to retirement and shit, the niggas just like start talking about, we don't know if they're gonna have 401, I don't have the fucking Social Security. And then niggas ain't gonna have it. We just had a pandemic. Banks are fucking closing, bro. Come on, bro. Come on. These niggas is eating that shit up like, oh my god, a bank closed. And then they go see the bank closed and shit because the bank closed, nigga. That's face shit. It's not, they ain't trapping out that bitch no more. That's what that is. Trap spot closed up. They ain't get locked up. They ain't get knocked and shit. They done at that location. And so like I'm looking around my room and I see all the paper and books and papers and stuff. Go to the store, buy some cigarettes. I can't buy the cigarettes without them. They can have my ID. It's not even enough that they see it, look at it, read it. They can bite it, lick that bitch, test it, cut some cheese with that shit. They have to scan it. And I kind of like feel like left out. Like, damn, is that ID more real than me? Even on Call StreamYard, it says you have to trust StreamYard. And it's like, okay, I'm gonna trust StreamYard, hit allow. But do I trust StreamYard, or does the me that's operating through the phone are they able to can they do not defer the two? Oh yeah, there's Mental Ninja, but there's also Mental Ninja in the phone. That's the one I just hit that's trusting. So if that's the case, there's cords and there's bonds and there's connections, and that's how their shit works. And not for nothing, let's say that the ancients did have harnessing of electromagnetic energies, not fun space alien, we call it ancient astronaut shit, ancient alien shit. Well, if they did have that shit, then okay, energy is the power. I hear a lot on the constantly that vibration energies, so you can harness it, the powers, energy, blah blah blah. Okay, well, what happened to the energy then if they were using it? Maybe they're using it, but just not in the way that they're using it in a negative way and shit. And how they fucking are able to like really siphon harness this shit is like through us, because we are that energy, because we are that earth. Basically, they're having the earth fucking plow itself, like the snake that eats its own tail. You know, it's like when people like most people like they're looking for somebody to blame and shit. It's like, nigga, don't you know our whole fucking shish kebab has been set up to be fucking the worst kind of jail you can ever imagine. Oh shit. When they say the devil come and still kill and destroy. Damn, what that shit was like. I mean, obviously, man. We're living to fucking hopefully keep a roof over our head and some food in our refrigerator when we die. That's it. And during that whole entire life, we will spend our entire life working. We come home to our dwellings, to our abodes. And this is exactly the way that motherfucking the Jews were supposedly been held in Egypt. The way we are living. Not the way some people, bro. Bums, nigga. Bitch nigga tried to tell me he had a picture of some niggas with some fucking towels around their fucking waist and some niggas with some whips, and he got 100 towels around a building pulling blocks up the hill. No, nigga, these are master builders, homie. Not niggas at the sauna. It's like, man, let's build a pyramid, guys. Where gonna build a pyramid at? Oh, we got some rocks out there. We got our fucking towels. Get some guys with some whips, we can do anything. Nah, man. The stories they give us about that shit, it just does not add up. What happened to the Mayans? I know what the fuck happened to the Mayans. I know it didn't happen to 12 fucking million Native American bodies. I know it didn't happen from here to Africa. Nigga, you were looking at the Mayans, nigga. A whole civilization dispersed. And that is the only slavery that we have. We were enslaved via losing a war. We weren't just slapped up. Niggas, they paid, but they put us in history book like niggas really came down and just stole on niggas and shit, just took shit. They had metal this, metal that. I remember reading in The Conquest of Mexico, which they tell us is like fucking, in this book is from compiled by data collected from logs of Captain Cortez, Alvarado, Santiago, Hernandez, and a couple other motherfuckers. Gomez, all the noble names. And in two battles, one battle specifically in the book, you know, the dude W.P.H. Prescott, what he did, he was from the New York Literary Society, Historical Society. His fucking nerdy ass job. He's the guy with a little fucking broomstick, little briefcase, and little fucking hat, and little fucking glasses and shit. It's goofy as fuck, little mustache, always wiggles when he talks and shit. That just goes around collecting the information about certain voyages and shit. And his duty was to compile the information as this book in the story goes. I'm not saying that this is real because everything's being questioned. And in this story about the conquest of Mexico, there's a portion where some strange shit happens, like some fucking far out shit happens. Like we're not talking about biblical either. We're talking about this is like this nigga. This nigga just said he would. What I think he just said, and basically in one situation, it deals with them even being there. According to when they put Cortez, this nigga's like fucking Arnold Schwarzenegger, and the niggas that he roll with are all like Arnold Schwarzenegger. They're like the Thundercats niggas. Like none of these niggas die. These niggas are the ultimate elite super squad niggas, and they get to Cuba, and when they get to Cuba, they leave from Cuba. They with some indigenous people and shit that know the lay of the land and some languages and shit on the mainland, and they get over to where we was now in Trinidad and shit, or Yucatan Peninsula, and the name Yucatan actually means what is he saying? We can't understand you, or like what? And that's what they thought that the place was meant. The guy who fucking translator wasn't fucking that good of a fucking translator. But their ships, they lose all their ships in a big ass fucking like boom storm and shit. You know, the people think that the indigenous people think that it's a sign from the God that they're gonna fucking kill these niggas and shit. So the first thing they battle with ain't the Talaskans because the Talaskans had enemies too though. They did a little battle with the Talaskans. They like, damn, y'all niggas is cold. You know what I'm saying? Y'all niggas fuck us all up. And the way Cortez said they fought is they said the Alaskans, they would kill one of them or injure one of them. Other would stop fighting. And they would grab that nigga and try to take him off the battlefield. And they like, well, shit, kill them niggas too. And they would hit them niggas. And like, what ended up happening is like, everybody just like getting stabbed, cut, and shit, and shot with this giant fucking cannon called arc busters. And basically, you know, falling down and everybody stops fighting and goes to help him and they get shot, stabbed, whatever, nickered up and shit. You know what I'm saying? And it's like just dumb. It's just a fucking savagery of dumbness and shit. You know what I'm saying? Because none of them really, the common theme is that before there really wasn't war like that. There wasn't need for domination over other people. There was a certain system, a certain linguistic, a certain understanding that was common to all, and it was a super science. That's the only way I put it. And I would say, I guess we're not the only ones that had some fucking fire shit, or had some shit, or could do some shit. But I don't think that their shit is as thorough as it really is because they have limited time. They can only do things with limited charge. You understand what I'm saying? So it has to be a replay, a resupply, a reset. They have to have resets because they don't get it naturally, energetically, from fundamentally from the earth like we do. I, Aboriginal, indigenous, cool, but I prefer, nigga, I'm earth, nigga. To do that work, I'm training. Nigga told me he's a Palestinian and American. He's from the Holy Land. I said, nigga, the Holy Land, nigga. I said, nigga, I am the Holy Land. And he kind of like looked at me like, what the fuck did you just say? And he kind of thought about it. He was like, all right. And he kind of smiled, but I meant that shit, nigga. First time nigga ever told me he's from the Holy Land. I said, nigga, what? I took that shit way straight east side, nigga. I am the Holy Land, nigga. And the way it's all designed, and I keep going back to it, is the way we live. That's the system. No, the Hebrew Israelites, they were wrong. And they're designed to be who they are, to have that perception. Because what it does, it keeps people away from the elephant in the fucking room. How are we living though? What are common themes that we can all agree on? And be like, yeah, you know what? Me too. Nobody owns this shit. They can repossess, recollect. They have this thing called the IRS. They can set the feds. They show how they do it to the popular people on TV. And a lot of people on TV get the work, the shit that we and them gotta do it. And there's people on TV. I don't know the actors. No, there's people on TV with the actors. Where I see actors on fucking TV, not at Walmart. You know, and I brought up Crowley, and I said mused, and I can't wait to like. Well, I'm not gonna hold one because I took a hiatus from the OTO. Like for the past like 4 months, I've not been doing shit. I haven't been in contact or nothing. You know, but that's hopefully gonna be well. It is changing, but anyway, but I think Crowley. So some fun facts about Crowley. Other than all the evil things that everybody wants to know about, there's some interesting things he did. The most evil, wickedest man, all the evil things everybody knows about and shit. They think they know about. Loved espionage. I mean, this dude, on top of all that shit, this guy actually became the highest intelligence officer in the British intelligence fucking during the war against the Germans. And I guess, and it's only because of he fucking had an ace up his sleeve. He really did. And that was the Golden Dawn. And so like, ooh, ooh, can't wait to throw that one through they fucking fish nets and shit. See how heavy that fish one is. It was the Golden Dawn, bro. That nigga Germer pushed that nigga down the stairs and shit. He felt like they were blackballing, installing him for fucking advanced and shit because he was cold because they knew this nigga was more advanced than him because he came and got he got his shit from the east. He went to the melanated people to get that shit, where the source of where the ancient shit still existed, which I do not think exists today because of the way the information system is set up. However, they still might. However, they could be compromised as well. And that could be these rich fucking Saudis that we're looking at. Who fucking really knows, bro? Because the shit is definitely different than it was like when there was fucking big wars going on. There has not been no big wars since I've been alive. All that Desert Steel, that's fucking not no fucking wars, bro. I mean, I play video games too, nigga. That's fucking video game shit. Real life shit that we play video games about. I'm talking about nigga Medal of Honor shit, nigga. When them motherfuckers come out fucking Saving Private Ryan shit. But just imagine that they're just like showing them against white people, but they weren't going against white people. Some of the people and names have been changed to protect the people. What is really the purpose of Hollywood other than to disseminate narratives? There's really no other reason to even have it. And it's not for fucking entertainment. They don't like us that good much. They're like, let's give them some good shit to watch and charge them for it. Basically, if they like us that much, like, you know what, guys, we're gonna throw a birthday party for you and you got to pay to come. Nothing that they do for us that's given to us for any kind of ingestion, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, psychically, is meant to cancel out those charges. It has to keep the depletion. It's a training system. They got us to a trickle charge. I hooked my bike up to a trickle charge mode to keep the battery fresh from my Triumph I had. I had to always have on trickle charge. Otherwise, eventually I would be replacing the fucking stator, the rectifier, and the regulator again and again and again. You know what I'm saying? And that was a bad thing about that model. The 06 was it had a faulty rectifier regulator, and eventually you had to have that shit replaced. But when you did it, it'd be a good bike. But still, it's always good to have a battery tender. And what the battery tender does is slowly drains the charge from a slow charge from the wall, the outlet, and into the bike to where technically the bike is still kind of like on. It's still in charge. It's still in fucking electrical conduit mode or whatever you want to call it shit. Technically the bike is still on and shit. And what that does, it keeps the battery from just once the battery is the car's off, the vehicle's off, the battery still drains. It's still being drained by the stator. It's still the rectifier because you have clocks internally working. You have internal things that are working. Computers that they're still silently running in the background, like background apps. And in certain situations, in certain elements, like Vegas, that shit will fucking kill a battery if you ain't rode in 1 week. So trickle charges are important. That's what they got us on, bro. And so like the prison system is only direct charge. Boom, cattle prod shit. They're hooking you up. That's why it's called confined movement. And that yard, it's not like a yard like we think it is. It is a charge yard. And the thing is about that is they still have a way to build gain off that, develop interest and income and currency off the system. Same as the court system, same as the food system, same as every department they have is designed to trickle charge. You can't get away from it, bro. And that is the reason why. If you have no money, you can't eat. If nobody's giving you food for free, you're not going to eat because the foods that are kept in places called stores. If you go in a store and try to take food for free, you will be arrested. You will be detained. You'll be charged, arrested, or you'll be arrested first, which is frozen by the police, and their job is to basically come and fucking Chancellor hawk your ass, and you're stuck. Sub-Zero got your ass and shit. It was like ice cone, ground free, slippery. Ooh. And from there they bring you in to be charged. And so these charges, what they do is the charges are designed to basically to what's your state going to be. So the charge that they can make the charges stick, then they can constrict or conscribe, convict a sentencing procedure that puts you in a cell. Therefore, the charge that you have now actually power your room, power your fucking being of there. And they're able to draw gold off of that. Selling your soul to give your soul scores, dollar signs. Twin Towers. Reset the fucking economy. Reset the fucking financial system. You know why? Because this is the whole thing of the financial system. You have to pay rent. You have to pay mortgage. If you don't pay mortgage, you have to pay fucking electricity. If you don't pay electricity, you have to pay land tax. You have to pay something unless you're them. They don't pay for shit. What they do, their money is military might. And they're not the ones going to fight. The nigga threw a shoe at Trump. At fucking Bush. He laughed and ducked the second one because it was a bad aim. The second one, the first one was fucking dope. Almost hit that nigga. I'd have laughed too. But the thing is, and this is the direct aspect of how the parasitic nature is the mobilization of the people that don't own anything to go fight other people that don't own anything. And the people that go over there don't own anything they're going over there fighting for. Matter of fact, my brother said, nigga, you went to another country to go fight a hood that you ain't never been to. And some niggas you ain't got no beef with. What about the niggas that jumped me back in high school? Nigga, what about them niggas? You went way over there and shit. And I said to him, he was like that. He kind of looked, he thought about that shit. He was like, I'm glad I got that shit, bro. And like he really, it was like Gloston that came over. I seen the computation start to fade away because the implication was so heavy. Like, for what though? What did you get out that deal? That your homeboy shot by a sniper. Y'all killed a kid because because the motherfucker had fucking ran up and shit. Y'all seen too much, and I have the same stories coming out of fucking Vietnam and shit. And it seems to be that through the game Risk, we have helped them gather the last remaining resource that they need to finish to the next step, and that's how this pandemic shit popped in. They had everything they needed. And so, in the books, it talks about this fucking war eventually, and I believe that's exactly what's going to happen. The 5%ers say that we're going to fucking, in no limit time, God's going to show and prove, and we're going to take this bitch back. And I believe that is true. The Aeon of Horus, the Crown of Conquering Child, the thing that Crowley did that fucking was out of everything he did, the espionage shit for the Germans against the British, and the British against the Germans, and the Americans against both, all that fun shit. Boleskine House that pops up the same time. Fucking Boleskine House and Loch Ness. When he went there, the Loch Ness monster comes. He does the fucking Star Ruby, not the Star Ruby, but the fucking the Abermelon, and that 6 month thing. That's the Loch Ness monster pops up. Also OTO and fucking Area 51. All these strange things that happen, and the whole get up out of it is one night he went on this little mission of his in I think Turkey or Istanbul, a place that has people. At that time, Istanbul was like not just like the old Rome, but it was fucking like the Timbuktu. It was like the new Timbuktu at that time, because it was fucking boom trade right there, trade routes. Um, Especially for oils and shit like that, oil. But like he went there and he fucking went and found as many people that were non-white from every place he could go, and every fucking non European person and invite them all to this one area, one time. It was one specific time and shit where he gave them all books of the law. And he said that this book has been written for the Anna of the Crown Conquering Child, and you are supposed to give this book to as many people and get this out to many people to make it happen. That aspect right there was bigger in his mind than any other aspect of Thelema as a religion and OTO as a fraternal organization, with all of its elements, attributes, and all the things that Crowley had did around that with Thelema. And the combination of the book of law was the magnum opus of the whole thing, and it had to go to these people. And he never did nothing ever like that ever again. Only person who ever attempted anything like that was Jack Parson, where he opened his house up, and it was provided pretty basically to invite all the fucking scorned artistic people was for black people, and not too many came, but he had a bunch of them. You know, they had the set. They had around that time, a little bit later, they had the fucking Rat Pack. You know, and they had fucking Synagogue of Satan for them, which is fucking high military. High. Talking about niggas that run the fucking Air Force high. But yeah, man, it's fucking nuts, man. Like when motherfuckers believe like the indigenous, the Aboriginal things, like the tip of the iceberg, flat earth, like this like a fucking scratch to get niggas to think different. But in the Anna of Horus, we're supposed to take it back with the crown conquering child, the descendant, that realizes that Set has destroyed and dismembered his father in a past time, and things that Isis' mother or you know, Newt or Nuit or fucking Isis or fucking, Offset, whatever you want to name her and shit, or Babylon, she's supposed to she's like, yes, my son, like that's what happened, and you're here to fix it, and that's what's going to happen. So just fucking nuts, bro. Like our shit got conquered for real. War of the Worlds, my niggas. All the wars that we're taught about ain't no more wars, bro. That shit ain't wars what we been on. Sending on fucking my brother and shit, my little brother. Saving Private Ryan, nigga, that was the wars and shit. But I don't think it was whites versus white. We get the German thing, we get the Jew thing and shit, but that shit don't make sense any fucking way. Anyway, y'all, it's 12. I gotta get to work. Morning. Peace out, love and life, nigga. 93s, nigga. If you ain't health, love you, ain't shit, nigga. Get it how you live it. East side.